What's up everybody? Welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Sarah. If not, welcome back. And today we're doing the mid-year check-in, or also known as the mid-year book freakout tag. So I got the question, so let's just jump into it. So the first question is, what is the best book you've read in 2024 so far? I'm using Storygraph to look all this up because I really like their platform. It's actually a lot easier to see like all your 5-star reads, and they just like categorize the information a lot better. So if you don't have Storygraph, I really highly suggest it. But my favorite book in 2024 is not actually a release for 2024, but it is a book that I read at the beginning of this year, and that is Forget Me Not by Julie Soto. That book is a contemporary romance. It follows Emma and Elliot. Emma is a wedding planner in Sacramento and Elliot is a florist, and they meet kind of through the wedding circuit. They have kind of an instant chemistry, but it's also more of a slow burn. And what I really liked about the format for this book is that the present tense is all told from Emma's point of view, whereas the flashbacks are all told from Elliot's point of view. So really liked how they kind of broke down the characters that way, and you got a perspective from both of them. I really liked these characters, and what I thought was interesting was that I think this actually started out as a Kylo fanfic that ended up turning into this contemporary romance. It's super cute. This is the first book that I read by Julie Soto, and it was one of my favorite reads so far this year. I actually just finished the audiobook as like a reread just because I wanted to revisit Emma and Elliot because I love them so much. So the next question is, what is the best sequel I've read so far in 2024? And that has to be Leather and Lark by Brynne Weaver. So Leather and Lark is the second book in the Ruinous Love series. It follows Lachlan Kane, which is the brother of Rowan Kane in the first book, and Lark, which is the best friend of Sloane. From Butcher and Blackbird. So Butcher and Blackbird was this kind of dark romance comedy, which isn't something that I've really read before, so I was really interested in reading Leather and Lark. When Butcher and Blackbird came out, it was originally on Kindle Unlimited, but you can't get Leather and Lark on KU, so I ended up waiting for Libby to release the book to me through the app. Luckily, I didn't have to wait too long, and it was actually really cute. It's not as gruesome, I would say, as the first book, but come to find out, Lark is also a bit of a serial killer, and Lachlan is a murder for hire, which is Lachlan was actually the one who was giving Rowan and Sloane the contacts for their competition. Lark, in an effort to protect Lachlan, ends up in an arranged marriage with Lachlan, and it kind of goes from there. Still kind of like the dark romance comedy that you get from Butcher and Blackbird, but just turned up a notch. I really liked the dynamic between the two characters. I thought it was really fun, but it is a dark romance, so check any trigger warnings before you jump in. Okay, so the third question is, new releases you haven't read yet but want to. So I started reading at the beginning of the year The Blighted Stars by Megan O'Keefe, which is a trilogy called The Devoured Worlds. The new book that's out in that series is called The Bound World, and I actually got an ARC copy of it, but I've been so busy I haven't actually gotten a chance to sit down and read it. But I absolutely love this sci-fi series, and that's the book that's probably going to be very high on my list, and I'm trying to finish it or start it in July. So the Devoured Worlds series was kind of a surprise for me because I don't really expect a lot of sci-fi books that I read to have any type of like romance storyline in addition to the main plot. It has a very subtle romance subplot. So I was really surprised by that. I really think it made me like the book that much more because the dynamic between these two characters really is what's driving the story, and I absolutely loved it. So if you're a sci-fi person, you like sci-fi, I would really highly suggest this. If you also like your books to have a little bit of romance, this one really checked all of the boxes as far as like books that I like to read in those genres. The next question is, what's my most anticipated release for the second half of 2024? So this one is kind of like a no-brainer, and I have a couple, but the first one is Lost and Lassoed by Lila Sage, which is the third book in the Rebel Blue Ranch series. I am devouring those books. I absolutely love them. And then the other one is going to be A Monsoon Rising, which is the sequel to the Hurricane Wars. Really excited about those two in the second half of the year. If you've watched 30 seconds or seen any of my posts on Instagram, absolutely loved Hurricane Wars. So I am really excited to get that book and jump into it next. The next question is, what's my biggest disappointment of 2024? I hate to say it, but House of Flame and Shadow by Sarah J. Maas. This was one of, if not my most anticipated book this year, and I was so excited to read it, but it ended up taking me over a month to get through it just because of all of the inconsistencies in the story, is the best way I can put it. And I don't want to ruin it for anybody. Of the series, my favorite is House of Earth and Blood. I loved all the setup with that book. The kind of urban atmosphere for the fantasy was fantastic. I just don't know what happened to those storylines and the writing style that kind of came up with House of Flame and Shadow. And I don't want to hate on it too much, but the more I think about it, the more I'm just like disappointed with the end that we got. Like, so many loose storylines that we never really got a resolution on unless there's going to be some sort of novella in the future. I think I rated this 3 out of 5. I thought the book was just okay, but it was such a huge disappointment since like I liked all of Sarah J. Maas's other books so much, and I just felt really let down by the premise and how the story kind of ended up wrapping up. So that's the end. That's it. So the next question is, what is the biggest surprise of 2024? I think I'm gonna have to say The Blighted Stars. Again, I kind of went in there with, I don't want to say low expectations, but normally whenever I'm reading a sci-fi book, I'm in a very specific like mindset of the story that I'm thinking that I'm gonna get, and the romance storyline that kind of developed out of that, as well as like the main plot, were just so fascinating and really pulls the reader in, and I absolutely love that book. I think that was probably my biggest surprise, because when I started reading it, my expectations were that it was going to be kind of your run-of-the-mill sci-fi trilogy, but especially from like the synopsis that I was reading, I wasn't expecting the kind of story that I ended up getting, but I absolutely loved it. So that one's probably got to be my biggest surprise of 2024. And Megan O'Keefe is a new to me author, so I really enjoyed her writing style for sci-fi, and I'll probably end up picking up more of her books down the road. So the next question, and I think I've touched on this already a little bit, but it's your favorite new to you author discovered in 2024. So I have 2. That's got to be Julie Soto. I'm absolutely in love with her. I read her second book that just came out. I think it just came out this past week. That's Not Another Love Song. That one I actually got through NetGalley and was able to read before the release date. Shout out to Hin Solo Reads, who was the one who actually posted it on Instagram that you could download it through NetGalley. I love you, girl. But that book was fantastic. And then I read Forget Me Not like back in February. And then I also, of course, downloaded The Auction from AO3. So Julie Soto is probably like my new favorite 2024 author, but I also have to give a shout out to, again, Megan O'Keefe that I just mentioned, since I've really been loving her as well. Newest fictional crush. So from a contemporary romance, I would say probably Elliot Bloom. Again, just another shout out to Julie Soto. This might just be a Julie Soto fan account, I don't know, but I really loved Elliot Bloom. Another fictional crush in the fantasy realm, I would say it's gotta be Bjorn from A Fate Inked in Blood. He's probably my fantasy fictional crush, and then Elliot Bloom, I guess, for my contemporary fictional crush. Newest favorite character in 2024. Okay, so my favorite character, and it's mainly because I just really love the writing style, but it was Bree from the Mead Mishap series. She's the one that was in the That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon. But I really loved her character. She was so fun, and I really love that series. It's hilarious. If you're ever looking for like a rom-com fantasy, I have to suggest the Mead Mishaps, because they were hilarious. Like, laugh out loud, funny. A book that made me cry in 2024. Again, this isn't a book that was released in 2024. This is a book that I read in 2024, and that was The House in the Cerulean Sea. Everybody had said that this is a feel-good book. It's like a hug. I can confirm. This book was so sweet and heartwarming, and the ending, like, tears, just tears. It was absolutely the sweetest. And that's the first book that comes to mind when I think of a book that made me cry this year. But yeah, absolutely fantastic. I really love that one. Book that made me happy in 2024. I'm gonna go with Funny Story by Emily Henry. She'd actually kind of been on a, like, I was not chomping at the bit to read this book, because like Happy Place I liked, Book Lovers I liked. The books that I really loved from her were like Beach Read, and really just Beach Read. Probably my favorite book from hers is her first book, which is Beach Read. So I wasn't really expecting to love this story, but I was expecting to kind of enjoy it. So I wasn't like, again, I didn't go out and buy it the day it came out or anything like that. I waited until Libby had released it to me to start reading it. I absolutely loved this story. Daphne and Miles have my heart. I think this book might have topped Beach Read in my favorite Emily Henry books. I can't say enough good things about it. The two characters, their chemistry, the banter in this book is just so sweet, so cute, just perfect. This is the type of book that, like, whenever I want to sit down and read a contemporary romance, this is what I want. And I thought it was perfect. Absolutely loved it. 5 out of 5 stars. But that's, to answer the question, yeah, that's got to be a book that made me very happy. What is the most beautiful book I bought or received in 2024? I have a subscription to Fairy Loot, and my favorite book that they've released to me this year has got to be A Feather So Black. And I did another video where I was showing like the spine and the inserts. That book is gorgeous. I absolutely love it. I love the coloring. I'm actually really interested to see what they're gonna do with Monsoon Rising, because like my favorite book from last year that they released was Hurricane Wars, and I just really liked the cover and everything that they did with that. So we'll see. I think that's probably my favorite one that I got so far this year. That was A Feather So Black. Next question is, this is why I'm laughing. What books do you really need to read by the end of the year? Where to start? You know, there's so many. I'd really like to finish or at least get caught up with the Zodiac Academy books. I stopped with the 5th book. I have Fated Throne downloaded. I just never really picked him back up, because after the 5th book I was so emotionally ruined at the end of that book. I haven't had the fortitude to go back and start reading it again. But there's a couple books, like I haven't finished Shadowlands, which is the 6th book in the Savage Lands series. I have that one downloaded too. It's the same kind of thing. Like after, I think it was Bloodlands. I think that was the 5th book. But like I got to the 6th book and I was just like, I need a break. These characters are driving me up a wall. I need a minute. Another book that I'm really trying to get through still, and I've mentioned it already, is The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King. I started reading that, and that's the Crown of Nyaxia series. Started reading it right after I finished the first book, Serpent and the Wings of Night. I just haven't really been feeling it, so I keep putting it down and picking up other books. And then I'm also still trying to get through Magnolia Parks, which I started like last year, and I'm like 30% of the way through it, and I have every intention of finishing it, but it's one of those books that I keep kind of putting it to the side because I have other interests at the moment. So there's a lot, but those are probably some of the top ones that I want to finish this year, or at least get through. Okay, so I think that's all the questions that I got. The mid-year book freakout tag. If you made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching. And if you want to let me know that you made it this far, leave a stack of books in the comments. I really appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.